American Hysteria is a podcast that dives deep into moral panics, urban legends, conspiracy theories, hoaxes, and crazes throughout history in order to examine how fantastical thinking has long shaped our culture. With a wide range of topics, including stranger danger, the gay agenda, satanic cults, the Westboro Baptist Church, trash talk shows, and phantom clowns, American Hysteria is sometimes hilarious, sometimes horrifying, and sometimes heartfelt. I'm your host, Chelsea Weber-Smith, and now you can subscribe to American Hysteria on Apple Podcasts, where you'll get ad-free episodes and bonus content. So come and listen to American Hysteria, wherever you get your podcasts.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Grant did tell you what we're talking about today, correct? Okay.
I mean, maybe Grant told me, but I've forgotten because I have a cold.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to be talking about Kanye West today.
Great.
So I want to start with a simple question for you, not about Kanye West, but it will eventually involve him.
Okay.
How would you say America is doing right now, as a country? Hot or
on a
not?
scale of 1 to 10, or just
Sure. Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10. Where are we?
I'm saying we're around a 2. We're really limping. We're limping. It's not looking good.
Is it because of the gulags?
It's the gulags.
Is it the gulags?
I think it's definitely influenced by the gulag.
Hot take here. I don't think America's doing so well right now.
I thought you loved it. I thought you were we're killing it, and actually 10 more seasons, please.
Look, when I voted for Trump the 4th time, by the way, I made that joke at a bar the other day, and then I had realized that that wasn't clearly funny enough, and I then had to someone overheard me, and I saw the look, and I was like, look, I'm totally kidding. I did not illegally vote for Trump 4 times. I swear. Okay, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say Kanye West or Ye is doing?
Oh, he's at 0. He's really at the lowest he's ever been. It's actually wild. Before the record deal, he was doing better, is how I feel. In the middle of the car crash, he was doing better. This is really bad. This is
oh my god,
easily the worst time in his life. Yeah.
So the reason I ask both these questions is because here at Panic World, we've been theorizing that those two things are connected. That Kanye West has always been this sort of mirror for America's zeitgeist, and he still is today, even though we obviously don't like what he says and are horrified by it. For me and Grant, it feels like that's true, but I want to try to figure out why that is today. Why is he still this accurate mirror? What is it about him? What is it about us? What is it about what his career's been like that gives him that ability to do this even now?
Yeah.
So we're going to run through this theory, and I want to see if we can figure out exactly how these things are connected and why that's the case. And, if that means that we're all just totally doomed.
Yeah. I'm actually completely bought in, so let me try to make the argument too.
Okay, hold on. Hi, I'm Ryan Broderick. Welcome to Panic World. Sometimes throughout the episode, you'll be hearing from our producer, Grant Irving. I keep trying to tell him to stop, but he continues to pop in. This is a show about how the internet is warping our minds, our culture, and eventually reality. Joining us today is the host of Rebel Spirit, the host of the upcoming show from Courier, How Is This Better? A second-time Panic World guest, Akilah Hughes. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Hi, Grant. Good to see you.
Don't talk to him. Don't. He's in his producer. Don't look at him. He's in his producer cage. Don't look at. He'll rattle the bars if you
Just
look at him.
Just for the record, I've
true.
sent Ryan the text where to keep my job, where I did tell you that we were talking about the most dangerous topic we've ever talked about.
It's honestly amazing that this is the most dangerous topic because I know you both. And I'm like, this is not at the top.
I wouldn't say it's the most dangerous, but it's definitely the most complicated. And so I want to start properly with, when did you decide, all right, I'm out. Like, I don't like Kanye West anymore. When did you give up?
It was Life of Pablo had come out, but
Whoa.
It was really like when he was certainly endorsing Trump at that point. So I think Life of Pablo was what, like early 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And then by that end of summer-ish, he was really going off the deep end. And, you know, I went to his concert. Well, he was headlining the Meadows Fest in Queens. And this is an infamous performance because it was when Kim Kardashian was allegedly kidnapped in Paris, and he cut it off after 2 songs and left. And we'd all been waiting all day for him to perform, and also like there was no explanation for it. And then we haven't really heard about it since, sort of like that assassination attempt on Trump. And I kind of just feel like we were all like,
You think it was the same guy? You think it was the same? You think it was
that's
the
where he
same
cut
team?
his teeth.
It was the same department of the CIA that did both, you think?
100%. I'm putting on my tinfoil hat, but objectively, I think that like that sort of kicked off this beginning of the end of his career, and it was sort of shortly after that that he goes on TMZ and is like, Black people wanted to be slaves, and it just gets worse and worse. There's just this derailment of what I believed was genius, and now, you know, fast forward all these years, I have the merch from that show in my closet like a Klan robe. I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with it. You can't even throw it in the trash because what if somebody sees it?
Because then they might see it in your garbage. Yeah, no. I gave up a little later. I gave up with Donda 1.
You expected an album to be good?
So I think that was the moment when I listened to it and I was like, oh, he's never going to make good music again. And at that point I was like, because he hadn't gone full neo-Nazi either.
Right.
And I was like, okay, like he's clearly unwell. But if he can make good music, like if he can make good music, fine. And it was the pandemic, so I was like, look, I'm unwell too. You know, maybe we both can come out of this. And now I'm like, no, he can never. I effectively think of him as already being dead.
Yeah.
It's easier that way.
Totally. It's like, just remember the good times when he was alive.
Well, speaking of the good times, how did you learn about it? How did you like enter your Kanye fandom? Like, what was it for you? What activated you?
I definitely remember the first time I heard Through the Wire. Like that, it was literally just like, nothing sounds like this. Even at that point, he wasn't like a superstar, but I just remember watching it on like BET after school and being like, what is this? But my freshman year of college, I went to school. I started in 2005, but I'm 35, so don't do the math. Like, it's just, I skipped 2 grades.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was about to say. Okay, I thought we were the same age, but
I'm older than you, right?
No, we're the same age, but you went to college 2 years younger, which is humble brag. Okay, cool flex.
Yeah, small humble brag, but you know, we all end up in the exact same place. So
podcasting, that's right. Like all people, like all millennials, were in a second recession podcasting. That's exactly
100%.
Right.
But I just remember like going to school. That was the summer of Gold Digger, and that was when it was obvious that it's like, this guy's not going away. Like, and it was also like Hurricane Katrina had just happened, so he's saying, you know, George Bush doesn't care about Black people as he has this massive hit. It's
that
like,
went so hard.
He can't lose. Is how I felt.
Yeah. I think it's actually important to spend some time here before we get into his downfall, because it's easy to forget now that for a certain age group, I mean, me, like literally laser targeted to my demographic, Kanye West meant a lot, and in a unique way from other celebrities at the time when he was coming up. I have a very personal connection to Kanye West, actually. In fact, I would not be here. Yeah, he's my dad. We're all worried about him. I liked Kanye West's first 2 albums a lot, but like for me, they were kind of like, well, edited versions of those songs were like bar and bat mitzvah music or like school dance music, right? You know, Gold Digger was like school dance music.
100%.
I get to college in 2007, and I wanted to be a music critic for the school paper. And the editor-in-chief was like, I don't know, do you have any ideas? And I was very big into BitTorrent and like stealing gigabytes of music, every day.
Wait, give me a month. Give me a month of 2007 because I know where you're going with this.
Oh, this is important. So
This is my
I had access to both Curtis and Graduation about a week early. And it was going to be the 9/11 album showdown. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote it as my first piece for the school paper, and they put it online on their like dumb little website, and the hip hop blogs found it, and it crashed the site. And then they were like, hey, you should write for us every week. And then I changed my major to journalism, and that's how I ended up podcasting in my house right now.
That's wild. That's actually, wow. So you must be down bad right now. Deep down.
Well, I will never forget, I think it was the 2007 VMAs, and it's T-Pain and Kanye West running up the staircase in Las Vegas in like glow-in-the-dark tuxedos, and I was watching it being like, this is what cool is for me. Like, this is the definition of cool. And luckily, T-Pain, we still have T-Pain.
T-Pain's
Thank
great.
God we have T-Pain.
Yeah.
I got my wisdom teeth removed listening to T-Pain's album, 3 Rings. Incredible music to lose your wisdom teeth to.
Yeah, and doing Coachella, he's still here. He's still out
Exactly. So, one last question for you, sort of orient you in the Kanye fandom. What is your favorite era of Kanye West?
I mean, that's almost impossible to say. Like, I feel like that's its own episode because
Grant put that in the document. I'm sorry I asked that.
Right, because it's also like, I think that like specifically for millennials, every era of Kanye corresponded to important moments in our life. And so like for you, 2007, it's like I was working at Forever 21, rest in peace, and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is out that summer. And I just remember like the white kids there who didn't know Kanye being like, because we also had, so a little bit of Forever 21 lore. Every month there was a guy named DJ Brent who would put out a CD.
I'm sorry, what?
DJ Brent.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if he's still active, but he was the DJ for all the Forever 21s, and we would get a new CD in the mail that would have like 2 hours of music maybe on it, and we would have to listen to it over and over again for the month. And so if you worked 8 hours, you were like, I know all the songs, I know the order of the songs, I'm tired of the songs. And I remember the moment that we first heard Stronger on it, everybody was like, who is this? And I'm like, it's Kanye West. And I just remember being like, I became God to these girls. So like, important, because that's like summer, youth. I'm like 17. Sure. I'm working at the Forever 21, which is the hot girl store at the time, not just like a garbage bag store. And so it's like that mattered, but like recession era, I mean, or I guess like coming out of the recession into Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is also 808s. I mean, like every single era.
Yeah, one of the great regrets of my life is I had a free ticket to the Glow in the Dark tour before Kid Cudi got thrown off the tour for throwing a woman. It was Kanye West, Lady Gaga, and Kid Cudi, and they would close up the night covering Don't Stop Believing. And I had a free ticket, and I had a test the next day, and I had homework, and I didn't go, and I've regretted it for the rest of my life.
You want to hear my big Kanye regret? We could just do this forever. But I was dating a guy in New York in 2013, and he ended up dumping me like 2 days later, which is very funny. And it kind of corresponds. But I was meeting his friends really for the first time, and they were dorks, and we had tickets to Yeezus. So I'm like, let's just wrap up the dinner. Like, I'm trying to go. But he wanted me to like talk to them for longer. We ended up missing Kendrick Lamar opening for him, because I was talking to these fucking losers. And then he dumped me and I'm like, you made me miss Kendrick Lamar for these fucking dorks.
Oh, that's rough. Okay, I'm not going to compare the two, but I feel good that you also have a deep regret surrounding Kanye West. That's important. But let's talk about some things that Kanye West should regret. And we're going to start, I think, at the most this is the most recent. I think. Yeah, we're working backwards. We're opening in medias res. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how did we go from the guy who soundtracked, millennial lives? The first time I ever had Sparks, if anyone remembers Sparks, it was like a proto Four Loko, turns your tongue green. How did we go from that guy into who he is now? A guy who's rapping about being a cuck and singing Heil Hitler. But for me, this is just sort of a spillover from the Super Bowl commercial, which was the moment where I was like, uh-oh. So let's start there.
Yeah.
For people who, you've seen it? You've seen this ad?
Yeah.
Okay. For people who haven't, I'll just do a quick explanation for you, which is that he's in a dentist chair. He says that he spent all of the money for the ad on new teeth, and he shot it on his iPhone, and then he's like just got his website link there, and then when you went to the website, it was a $20 t-shirt that had a swastika on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get one before?
I just didn't have $20 at that point. So I just was like, I'm strapped, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, like I was worried about the tariffs that I'd heard were coming. So I was like, I can't do. I also didn't know where it was made, if it was going to be like surcharged.
If it would come,
What was your sort of reaction to seeing this? Because I think this is like a pretty gnarly, weird thing. Like this to me was sort of troubling.
It was, sort of troubling is the understatement of the millennium. I just felt like, he'd already been so off the deep end for me that I was like, let's just, I don't want to go all the way back, but like, he ran for president at one point. So like, this is not so fun.
I forgot about that, actually.
I took a picture of that ballot for my Kentucky vote, and I'm like, why is Kanye West listed? So like, there were plenty of L's before this, but I was like, so he actively wants people to hate him. Like, it's the only way that he can get attention anymore. And like, that's real sad. Like, that's giving like, oh, you need to be committed.
A Super Bowl ad is like, essentially one of like the most important remaining pieces of culture that exists.
Yeah.
Like we don't really have a monoculture, but we have like Super Bowl ads and we have the Super Bowl, and that's kind of it now.
Yeah.
And the idea of him like very visibly high on nitrous, like shooting an iPhone video to go on
with
Twitter.
Also, his teeth are made out of like metal.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's something so fascinating to me about him like compressing the prestige of a Super Bowl ad into this like very troubling, dark, weird thing he shot on his phone. That does feel somehow like it sums up where we all are, which reminded me of this piece I've been thinking about on and off for over a decade. It was written around the release of my beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and it's by an author named Mike Bartell. And he basically makes the argument that that part of Kanye West's career, and you could argue actually going forward after that, he is effectively trying to like harness the power of technology and like sort of obscuring his voice and obscuring samples and sort of like combining himself with capitalism as a way to like escape race, escape like class, escape his own body. Mm-hmm. And I want to read you a quote because I think it's a great essay. We're going to visit it a few times in this episode. But Barthel writes, Kanye's career is the story of one man joining and then transcending the organization, becoming the ghost in the shell, not in the system, but of it. You flash forward 15 years and he has just become content. It's so weird and dark to me, twisted, if you will, as well.
Not a fantasy, or at least not a positive fantasy.
Yeah, the idea that like he has spent so much of his career curating and sort of trying to transcend like what America is and means, using technology, to see him then become like shit I see on X.com, the everything app, just like everything else, feels so indicative of where we are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just to that end, it's like seeing the internet become content when there was a time when it was art. And it was like the thing transcending American culture and had so much potential. It's like, I see that as a direct parallel because what a nightmare. Now I'm watching women make spaghetti in their sink for views.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this used to be a place where I would click for hours because I was like, wow, someone made this in-depth website that teaches you how to do this thing. And it like, you have to go there and you meet 1,000 other people who've heard of it, and that's it, but it matters. And it's like, now that doesn't exist. It's just like, a bunch of AI voices telling me how I can pick zits out of my nose.
Yeah, you can really see it when you jump ahead to something like Life of Pablo. He was on this nothing is ever finished trend before everyone else. And I remember I was living in London when it came out, and my roommate Luke and his now wife, we were all huge Kanye fans, and we would go to parties and we would hear songs from it. But we started to realize that over like a month's time, we weren't hearing the same version of those songs week to week because he was doing the thing where he was changing the Spotify upload.
Wait, so you're saying like I maybe have even like retrofitted what I believe those songs sound like because I
It's possible you've never actually heard the album. Yeah. Like the completed album.
It makes me want to die.
It blew my mind because I was like, wait a minute, like he has actually he's sort of broken our concept of like what an album is. And it's so crazy now because like, a Marvel movie will release a patch note and like change Doctor Strange's like appearance in WandaVision or something.
Yeah.
And like in 2016, Kanye West was saying like, no, like we're going to like roll out an album in different updates. Like we're going to do push updates to this thing. And I remember thinking at the time, like, that is so cool and so weird. And I think it was indicative of what was to come. The album release and the chaos of it was more of a statement than the album itself. It's a rough album, one I like, but I can admit that it's a rough album.
It's a little inconsistent throughout. There are like moments that matter.
I like to compare Kanye West to Brian Wilson, the sort of singer-songwriter, sort of brain of the Beach Boys. And Life of Pablo to me has the same feeling as Pet Sounds, where you listen to it and you're like, oh, this person's like having a nervous breakdown right now.
Wow.
Like, Life of Pablo to me sounds like a nervous break. It sounds Life of Pablo to me, not Donda, not Yeezus. Life of Pablo is like the mania of a nervous breakdown to me. Like you're listening to it and you're just like, this person is like out of control.
What track did that to you?
Yeah, how far in did you get before you were like, this is fucked? I mean, I guess the opening being like, the weird preaching doesn't help.
I felt like I was like, it's just so sporadic. You're going from Taylor Swift's asshole to like, we don't want no devils. Like it's like it has no center.
That's what I mean. I mean, the opening track, which I love, Ultra Light Beam,
incredible,
sounds like someone who is going insane.
Yeah.
Like the whole album sounds like this disjointed maximalist thing that he's like updating in real time, using streaming to do so, which is now so normalized that we don't even think about it being a big deal. But to set the stage for where we're headed with this episode, to circle back to Barthel's essay, I want to read one more quote from it, which is, Kanye plays into our fantasies by holding out the possibility that our glum everyday existence, the watered down one, the one as the spoken intro to dark fantasy puts it, isn't the only game in town. There's something else out there, he says. But of course, there's not, or at least not yet. The only thing realer than real is what we make for ourselves. The only thing truer than true is the truth yet to come. And I feel like that's like up until maybe sometime between Pablo and Donda, that he is basically sort of he's using technology to force reality to change. The playbook that like fascists have spent the last 15 years using.
Yeah.
And it's all connected to me in a way that is so strange and frightening and odd. And so, vibe check, how you doing before we go to ad break with all this? How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm with it. I think that you're making the case. Yeah. I mean, we haven't even gotten to grievance, but I'm right here with you. That's the other side of the coin.
Well, right after an ad from our sponsors, Adidas, we will be back with more. Adidas and Pornhub are our sponsors today, and we'll be right back.
Pornhub, do the do.
This episode is actually sponsored by Retrospect, a highly specialized workshop and design studio based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, committed to exploring and restoring and curating retro technology. The company started as a foray into the world of retro tech by supplying Polaroid with refurbished and restored vintage instant cameras, and now offers a full line of vintage camera models, in addition to developing official product collaborations with both national and international brands such as Peanuts, Mattel, Sanrio, and Fendi. Speaking of Polaroid, they sent me a Polaroid camera, and it was awesome. I took it on vacation. It was delightful. Highly recommend. And that's my personal opinion, not just because they're paying me to read this. Since 2008, Retrospect has pursued vintage electronics and the delight of analog technology, breathing new life into cameras, portable cassette players, classic gaming consoles, and other retro tech oddities. In an increasingly fast-paced world, it can be easy for digital convenience to become digital overload. I definitely have that problem, but luckily for me, I've monetized it significantly online. But for people who can't do that, Retrospect hopes the items they offer will allow people to slow down, step back, and enjoy a more tactile and intentional experience. You can use code PANIC10 for 10% off your first order. Visit retrospect.com for more information on the company and its offerings. And that's retrospect.com/panic10.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
He claims he's launching a porn site, which just feels like a crime waiting to happen. Like,
it seems like a crime that has happened that he filmed.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that like he was trafficking a woman in public for like a couple years. Okay, so two constants of pop culture over the last 15 years has been, what the hell's going on with America and what the hell's going on with Kanye West. I want to run through a little timeline and kind of line up his transformation with his internet usage and, all of our internet usage and see where that takes us. So let's set a baseline before we were all online like we are now. You started this with the Katrina benefit concert where he says George Bush doesn't care about black people. We both agree, like, that fucks super hard, right? Like it
still fucks hard. Like, I'm sorry, that's an amazing thing to say on a telethon across every channel in America.
Yeah. Because he also wasn't wrong, and George Bush later said, worst moment of his presidency, which also hurts. Because that guy got hit in the head with a shoe. So
and maybe change Mike Myers, you know what I mean? Because Mike Myers is standing next to him.
I can't remember like a movie with Mike Myers that mattered after that, actually.
Nope.
It is a fascinating moment in time. So 2007, 2008, he becomes GQ's Man of the Year, and he kind of rare for him, he starts to brag a bit. So he says in that issue, this quote is so good, actually. I am the number one human being in music.
Human of the year.
That means any person that's living or breathing is number two, because I'm number one now. You are in the presence of the champion. Bow in the presence of greatness.
That sounds a lot like Donald Trump today.
They are very thematically linked, I think, in ways that are fascinating and complicated. Mm-hmm. That November, his mom Donda dies. He then breaks up with his fiance. He makes 808 and Heartbreak, effectively jumpstarting Drake's entire career. Summer 2008, he's booed for showing up very late to Bonnaroo. Mm-hmm. So Kanye is blogging the way we would all eventually be tweeting. And we have so many good sections of Kanye's blog to read for you. Actually, do you want to read this one?
Yeah.
So this is Kanye West blogging in 2008 about showing up to Bonnaroo at 4:30 in the morning.
Kanye says, I understand if people don't like me because I like me, or if people think tight clothes look gay, or people say I run my mouth too much. But this Bonnaroo thing is the worst insult I've ever had in my life. This is the most offended I've ever been. This is the maddest I will ever be. I'm typing so fucking hard, I might break my fucking MacBook Air. Shout out to the brands.
The inclusion of the MacBook Air to me like elevates that to like it is also, like you said, it's very Trump. It's like very like I hate Diet Coke, but I'll keep drinking that garbage. Like it's just very.
You wanted
good.
It in all caps on Truth Social is how I feel.
Yes. 2 weeks later, he blogs again, getting mad at a magazine article that had been published a year before.
They're like, we moved on, sir.
Yeah, no. And he writes, this isn't true, and it bothered me greatly because people think I'm so cocky that I would have something like that. I'm just a regular guy with cool stuff in his crib, but instead I was made out to be... Instead, I was made out to be Ben Stiller's character in the movie Dodgeball with... I was made out to be Ben Stiller's character in the movie Dodgeball with a huge pic of him wrestling a bull in his office.
I love that he always has to have a very specific reference. It's never just like, you could say, you said I was a bad person. It was, you called me basically. Not the name of the character.
Yeah, he's just like, he doesn't know the name of the character. It's just Ben Stiller's. He's just, like when people say like, what does it mean to understand technology and understand culture? And it's like, in 2008, this is so ahead of its time. He's 10 years ahead of his time. 2009, South Park does the gay fish episode. He gets mad. He blogs about it in all caps. I'm gonna give this one to you in all caps. You can make that however you want.
Kanye says, South Park murdered me last night, and it's pretty funny. It hurts my feelings, but what can you expect from South Park? I actually have been working on my ego, though. Having the crazy ego is played out at this point in my life and career. And then he goes on to say, I need to just get past myself. Drop the bravado and just make dope product. Everything is not that serious. As long as people think I act like a bitch, this type of shit will happen to me. Kanye, this is what a diary is for. Oh, why?
Yeah. But that's it. He's like, this is exactly what blogging was made for. It's just like airing your personal grievances and then using it as like a therapy device that everyone can look into. It's so beautiful.
As long as people think I act like a bitch, this type of shit will happen to me. I'm putting that in my diary.
About 6 months later, in the fall of 2009, Taylor Swift's You Belong With Me beats Beyonce's Single Ladies. Kanye has a problem with that. Obama calls Kanye West a jackass. And then Kanye West on his blog writes an apology. And I'm gonna read this one because I really want to read this one. And it is also in all caps, okay? I'm so sorry to Taylor Swift and her fans and her mom. I spoke to her mother right after, and she said the same thing my mother would have said. She's very talented. I like the lyrics about being a cheerleader, and she's in the bleachers. I'm in the wrong for going on stage and taking away from her moment. Then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and then he ends it with, I gave my awards to Outkast when they deserved it over me. That's what it is. I'm not crazy, y'all. I'm just real. Sorry for that. Really feel bad for Taylor, and I'm sincerely sorry. Much respect. And as we know, they made up after that. It was all fine.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that might have been his actual breaking point historically.
I think that argument is correct. 2009, based on our timeline, 2008 into 2009 is sort of the moment when he is sort of beginning to like start his techno vomit, like his sort of just like nonstop posting and stunts and sort of like culture jacking, but he's also going through like intense personal tragedy. And I believe, based on what I've sort of understood from the Genius documentary, this is also when his bipolar starts to manifest.
Yeah. Or at least like, it's really expressing, and he becomes kind of like the religious part starts to come out.
Yeah, because I think according to that documentary, like his mother was kind of the calming influence on the personality disorder and sort of the mental health issues that he had already had. And this is when it's starting to spin out of control. And what's fascinating is like we're reading these things and they're funny, and they are funny, and we can say that they're funny because they are funny.
We laugh.
But they're also just like the way like the president talks on the internet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there is something there, and I don't know what to make of that, actually. Like, I have these feelings that, like, okay, Kanye West is projecting the future of American culture in this messy, chaotic, really strange way, but I don't know, like, what help me here. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think that it's the first time, really, where you see this backlash to fame, where the famous person then has a platform to yell back. And I think that...
that is fascinating.
Yeah, where it's like, usually, in the 80s, it's like they would either kill themselves, Milli Vanilli, or they would just like...
Wait,
you never heard why.
Did Milli Vanilli kill themselves?
One of the
really?
guys, yeah. Oh. And it's like, I think that, like there's this backlash and it's like, they just go away forever, Tanya Harding.
Sure.
I think that there is this moment now where it becomes indignance. And that is only exacerbated by the fact that they have a platform where people can respond in real time. And so I think that, like, there can be no real personal growth and fame after this point. because it's endless commentary that he is then feeding into by responding. Whereas, like, I don't think that was the case before. I really don't. And, like, maybe someone in the, who listens to this can correct me, but I feel like that is what is happening now, where it's like Donald Trump. So I have a Getty Images account, and there's, like, Viacom is one of their partners. And so they have all this
humble brag.
Yeah, right? It's the only thing that makes me feel rich. And they have all this old footage from the MTV VMAs with Donald Trump with Melania there in the, like, sort of, Apprentice era. And he's just a guy from a reality show. No one's making a big deal. No one's really pressing him on anything. It's fine. And I'm like, that's not the same person. Like, it's actually like watching a different person. And I'm like, oh, he didn't feel persecuted. And everybody wasn't saying he was this horrible thing. And then, then comes the court cases where he's losing. And then it just, like, becomes more and more and more. And I think that, like, if he didn't have, if there was not a Twitter where he could respond to it all the time, he would have just fucked off. Same with Kanye. I think that, like, it's this access problem that makes famous people delusional. And I would also say, like, I would like to hope that Chappell Roan doesn't get there. But I think that, like, it's not...
Don't bring her up on this show. We can't take that heat. Like,
we can't. I'm just saying that, like, it's already so responsive to critique online in a way that is so, to me, like, indicative of, oh, well, you're not going to be able to handle this. Like, the thing is, like, you're supposed, when we were growing up, when I was a kid in the 90s, famous people were in many ways untouchable. There were critiques, but they weren't talking to critics directly. Now it's like, oh, it's my job to fight back and prove I'm worth something. And it's like, oh, well, the level of delusion you have to get to fight everybody, it's looking bad.
I'm so... For years, I have been, like, struggling to articulate what this is, and I think you cracked it. Especially if you compare it to the Hurricane Katrina thing, where he's on TV.
Yeah.
And because that's the access point. But then after that, he gets a blog. And then after that, he gets a Twitter account. And so it's like any moment, any off-ramp moment, as his mental health spirals, as his, like, personal life gets messier, that he could have taken, he doesn't, because he doesn't have to.
Right. And I also think that, like, it's an exposure to, like, I think that, in the past, it's like, we'll just shield our celebrity that we represent, our, like, posse, whatever. We'll shield them from that criticism. It is not their business, because, like, their job is to make a thing. Now their job is to talk to the people all the time. And that's only increasingly become the job of celebrity.
And he was so early to it. His relationship with tech and trends was so different than what we were used to. His breakout was, through chipmunking beats is what they would call it. And he was using tech when it was new to sort of transcend what was possible with hip hop at the time. And that became part of his brand. It became part of who he is. It became part of his process. And what I think this is showing is every time he had an opportunity to reach out, every time there was a way to speak to people directly, he would embrace it. He was very early to that idea. And I mean, you could even argue he was very desperate to do that.
Right.
But there's this posting pause, which I think is also interesting. After all the trauma that led to 808 and everything leading up to the South Park thing, for a while he does leave the public eye. He's not posting as much. He basically goes dark in 2010. And that was when he was making My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And looking back at that album now, if you play this out, he had this moment before it ate his brain and then destroyed all of us, where he could sort of actually express it. Like, on that album, you do get this glimpse of the maximalism that is now the defining characteristic of everything.
Yeah.
It's such a specific time where he's online being watched all the time, but we have yet to have smartphones in our pockets that we're all used to being there. It's like right before the fall of Rome, right? Like he's doing this digital everything all at once thing that the internet is about to do, but he's still able to make it coherent.
I mean, there's the story about Nicki Minaj recording it where he's got a laptop full of tabs with classical art and pornography, and he's just cycling through the tabs talking about, like, make the song sound like this, which is like a fascinating...
And she does.
And it did.
I mean, he got good results out of it, but, like, yeah, I mean, like, in retrospect, that's an insane thing to do. Like, that's a really frightening, weird thing to do to, like, a young woman in a recording studio.
Right. Also, like, just imagine if that was any job where they're like, so this is what it feels like. And I'm like, can you stop showing it?
Well, he
did that again in Adidas. He pulled out
Right.
a bunch of pornography in
they were all
Adidas.
like,
But it kind of worked twice.
Yeah.
It's like
The shoes were in.
there's something there, right? Of like him being so internet brained and like specifically like gooner porn brained that like he's having feelings watching pornography, but he can't like express them without just being like, make it feel like the way I feel when I watch this porn video. There is something there. I agree. I don't know what it is, but there's something there.
I mean, like, this is, I would say, probably the peak of his career. It's the thing that breaks everything because he's chasing that forever, which is why you keep bringing up porn, you know, and classical art when you're meeting with people, because you're trying to replicate that feeling again. And I think that when you get diminishing returns, the only thing that feels related is reaction at all. It also, in many ways, was this peak of internet where it's like, everyone is starting to understand how to use it at the same time, and there's this guy who feels like he's in the future, and so now he has far more eyes on him than he's ever had, and instead of that being an empowering force, it's like this double-edged sword.
2010 is like the last moment I felt like the world was offline.
Yeah.
And then from like 2011 onward, all of my memories involve technology to some degree. After that moment, we all started to come into the dystopia that Kanye had sort of been having fun in before that point. You know, he is posting a lot. He is making a lot of like genuinely historic, important, impactful music.
Yes.
But
I just thought you were going to say tweets. That's why I started laughing, because I was like, the one about the water bottles.
The one about the water bottles. So our mutual acquaintance, Brian Feldman, spent years trying to track down the YouTube video referenced in my favorite Kanye West tweet, which is from 2011. And it reads, "No way Spirited Away is better than Akira. No way. Sorry, was just looking at a YouTube of top 10 anime films." And Brian Feldman, I think, spent many years trying to find the exact YouTube video that pissed off Kanye West in 2011 enough to tweet that. So.
It excites me to know that Kanye has an actual YouTube account where he watches videos.
I love the idea that he like clearly typed in top 10 anime films and then like watched like some kid. But see, and that's the thing, like his understanding of technology is so innate, and so like part of his whole deal that as the 2010s progress, it also starts to curdle. So you end up getting, I mean, Yeezus drops in what? Yeezus drops in 2013. So basically, like, going into the year that births Gamergate, that starts the Donald Trump like murmurs of becoming president, he has already made a album that has a single called Black Skinhead on it.
Yeah.
And in 2015, at the VMAs once again, he announces his 2020 presidential run. And this is only 2 months after Trump had announced his.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to see like, okay, like something is happening to people who post.
Yes.
Like something is happening to our brains. Mm-hmm. And I say ours because it definitely happens.
Oh, I feel that way. I'm like, Dad, can I stop being on the internet?
Right. And then a year later, he's tweeting nonstop in early 2016. He tweets in all caps, "Bill Cosby innocent." I don't know.
Off the rails.
I mean, so you would say like this is sort of actually the moment around 2016 is when you fell off the Kanye bus.
Yeah.
Do you sort of remember, I mean, this is a funny question because it's basically the same as now, but like what were the political wins in 2016? Like what was the vibe?
Oh, the vibe. I mean, I think that like it was the end of hope. I think it was like, in like obviously in the sense of Obama being his brand, but I also think that like the internet had sort of come to this place where like YouTube is sending gay kids to the White House to interview the president, and everything is a meme, and BuzzFeed is like peak, and like everything is sort of colorful, and the internet is this connective tissue for the world. And millennials kind of feel like we're out of the recession. We are coming into like some kind of power. Girls is still on television. Like things are happening.
I've been watching clips of Girls on X all day.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's like, damn, they really nailed us. And
they did. They got us.
I think that like after that point, we entered this like dark era of like, oh, that was stupid. We're so embarrassed. Like, why did we think that like things were actually going to get better? Like there was clearly some, equal opposite reaction happening that none of us were paying attention to because things were just so good over here. And I remember like that, obviously, the fight song video being sort of like, oh, uh-oh.
That was the peak for me.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
I mean, that song is good though.
I'm not dying on that hill, but
I'm
about
totally
Kanye
fine.
West. You're fighting for fight song.
I'm totally fine saying that I get amped up when I hear fight song. When that chorus comes in, I get amped and I'm ready to vote for Hillary.
I become red pilled. I'm like, maybe actually Kanye had some points.
You're marching in Charlottesville every time you hear fight song.
I'm wearing khakis. I look down and the khakis are on my body, and I'm like, you know what?
Torch, yeah.
I don't know. I just think the black people have gotten a little highfalutin.
You know what? This is my mistake for bringing up fight song. We're going down a really dark path here. I'm swerving. Yeah. I'm swerving by taking us back to our timeline, finishing our sort of timeline here. In November 2016, Kanye West ends a concert saying that if he had voted, he would have voted for Trump.
Yeah.
And then this is the tour where he cancels it because of Kim Kardashian allegedly being robbed, which I did not realize was a conspiracy theory, but that is funny.
The photos are really clear. It's sort of like a moon landing type conspiracy where you're like, that's weird. It seems like they took a lot of these photos and picked the best ones. They face-tuned her body to be T for the kidnapping.
I hadn't thought about whether the photos are touched up or not. Okay, Grant, put that down for a future episode. We got to look into that one. And then in the end of 2016, Kanye goes to Trump Tower. And that is the moment when you, I think rightfully, were like, this is not going to get better for both America and Kanye West.
Yeah.
This thing that was happening between, let's say, 2007 and 2015 that, like, in the midst of the Obama magic and the like soft millennial features, selfie stick, BuzzFeed dance decade,
hoverboard,
we did not... the era of Grumpy Cat and Little Bub, we did not realize. Yeah, I love Little Bub. His owner once helped me translate the Boston Marathon Bombers YouTube channel from Russian into English. Wow. So Little Bub sat on my lap and we went through the Boston Marathon Bombers YouTube page together.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's what
your
those
lore
are just
is insane.
Those are just things you could do in the 2010s. Like, no one could, stop you. But this is the moment when the process that you're describing, I think we were not, as a culture, as a country, understanding what the two-way street, the unlimited access of the internet was doing to the most megalomaniacal people. Kanye at the top of that list with Donald Trump. But also, I think with everybody, this idea that everyone has a voice, and we'd spent a decade being like, great, yeah, everyone has a voice. Fight song. And then you're like, oh no, everyone has a voice. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And like, you can't turn it off.
Why are these bad people talking so loud?
Right.
Turn them down. And they're like, we can't turn them down because that would make us a publisher. So we can't possibly say.
We're a platisher. We're a platform and a publisher. Come on, we're a platisher.
Yeah. So, but we're not responsible for anything that's said here. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Do we think that, like, to put like a real pin in it, it was that he was realizing, oh, everyone's having a voice, and that means I have to get even louder at each stage. And the natural conclusion of getting louder is like Nazi t-shirts.
If you make the argument that the George W. Bush doesn't care about black people and the Taylor Swift VMAs incident are effectively Kanye being Kanye, quote unquote, in mass media, and if you were him and you looked at the reaction when you did that, I think your natural impulse would be like, one, they're all in cahoots against me. They all hate me. They don't like me. And two, I should seek out ways to make sure that, like, the next time I act the way I feel like I should act, no one can stop me. And I think if you follow that trajectory with someone whose mind is also, like, not getting the help it needs, yeah, the end point is doing nitrous and selling, like, swastika t-shirts. Akilah?
I think that you're right. I think that like the voices, it's not just that everyone has a voice, but now everybody's voice matters in some way. Like it isn't just like, oh, that's noise and I can ignore it. It's, oh, well, now there's louder backlash or there's more of a consensus and I have to react to that. Whereas before it was just sort of like some people are saying, and like that, could be gone tomorrow. I think that like it is the fact that like the everyone having the voice is now reality in life, and so you kind of have to care. Like you don't get to turn it off and be like, when I went to have dinner at Applebee's and no one there was talking about it. It's like they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And after our next ad break, brought to you by truthsocial.com. We're going to be talking about the world that is created when everyone has a voice and we don't want to think about what that means and what specifically that does to Kanye West and Donald Trump. Have you ever heard of Insert Coin Clothing? They're all about trying to help people take their love of video games from the screen into the real world. It used to be that people dressed up in a way to let you know what they liked, what they cared about, and then people kind of forgot to do that. So it's great that Insert Coin Clothing is trying to help, people show off their nerdy love of different video games. And they've got shirts for all kinds of different video games. Ace Attorney, Astrobot, the Kojima games. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid 5 guy, so like that's pretty good. Mass Effect, Overwatch. You name it, they got it. And best of all, everything is official and made in partnership with the studios for those games, which is awesome. Because, there's so much junk on Instagram, but Insert Coin Clothing, they're doing it the right way. Their product sizes come all the way from extra small to 3XL. Perfect for that drapey Gen Z e-boy look. You could put like a little chain around your neck. TikTok loves that. Insert Coin Clothing ships worldwide, one flat cost for standard shipping, and it's always fully tracked, which is great. And they have a sweet little respawn function, and they will email you when they restock products in your size. You can find all that at insertcoinclothing.com, and their main social accounts are Insert Coin Tees on X/Twitter and Insert Coin Clothing on all Meta platforms.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
Let's do a little check in. How you feeling?
I mean, I feel okay. I feel like, I'm fine. How are you doing?
Honestly, I'm feeling a little relieved. I need to make sense of it, and I've been trying to make sense of it, and actually, like, recording this episode has helped kind of make me understand a bit like why that happened.
Yeah. It
was like he was mainlining Elon Musk's Twitter like about 5 years before it reached the rest of us. And the natural result is you end up selling a swastika shirt high on nitrous with Terminator teeth.
The internet is obviously causing an entire generation, especially of young men, to become increasingly isolated and mentally ill. And the idea that
Not
someone
me, though.
who is, you're doing great. And
I'm fine.
You're literally killing it. And so
Thank you.
And that's what you need to hear on the internet all the time, or else
I'll go crazy. Yeah. No,
it's gonna get bad.
It's gonna get really bad.
But I think that like it is sort of like to our own peril that we ignore the fact that there are mentally ill people who before the internet were already mentally ill and needed support, who are on the internet being exposed to the same traumatizing sort of forces and expect something different. You know what I mean? Like, of course, this is a problem for everyone. He just is in a very specific position of being incredibly famous, incredibly rich, different than a lot of people in his own industry, had a lot of failure, I think, publicly, even with his successes. And so I think that, like, there's no excuse for this, but I do think that there is, like, a lot of cause and effect.
Yeah, it's not so much that, like, he is causing this. It's that there was an effect that the internet was clearly doing to him, and it was doing it to him faster and I think more aggressively than the rest of us.
Yes.
In that sort of like peak late stage Obama era, the reaction to Kanye West being like, publicly unwell, showing signs of online radicalization was to say like, oh, that's silly.
Yeah.
You know, oh, he's voting for Trump.
Kanye. Yeah.
That's just Kanye being Kanye. Yeah. And it's like, if we had taken that more seriously at the time and not been so quick to say he's the exception, like the process that we've sort of tracked with him is the process that like a lot of young men have gone through, a lot of men have gone through. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's such a bummer to see. I mean, it's like the Amanda Bynes stuff from like that same time period where you're so comfortable being like, it's like what you just did to Chapel Roan. Poor Chapel. It's like how you just victimized Chapel Roan.
Yes, Chapel, come on, rebel spirit, and I'll apologize.
You hear that, Chapel Roan fans? Please do not throw a brick in my window. Please do not come for me. I'm a 35-year-old man. Please don't come for me.
Guys, if you come for me, I just want you to know we're going to start dancing together because I like Chapel. You're not going to make me hate that girl. You're not going to put that on me.
I Pink Pony Club came on the other day, and I had already had 2 glasses of wine, and I was really feeling myself.
It's a bop.
It's a bop. Okay, so back to our timeline here. Just a couple more spots. April 2018, Kanye goes full MAGA. He tweets that... Oh, I forgot about this one. He tweets that he and Trump both have dragon energy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sick, actually. I wish I had dragon energy. This is also, unfortunately, when he says that slavery was a choice.
Unfortunate choice of words and thoughts.
Yeah.
To share.
Yeah, really just a really unfortunate kind of combination there. Now we get to Jesus King, Donda 2. This is the moment where I'm like, this is never going to be good again.
Sucks.
He's like living in the stadium.
Yeah, I remember this.
It's like deep COVID. Yeah, he's living in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. He changes his name to Ye, which we haven't been using this episode because that just feels...
That's just another symptom, but I think, let's not encourage it.
He's hanging out with a guy called DaBaby.
Yeah,
which I feel
now
like
canceled.
I think even before being canceled, like if you're hanging out with an adult man that calls himself DaBaby, I don't know. Like,
also, if all of his songs sound like Scooby-Doo, chase music, then maybe just question what you're doing. Just hang out with somebody who has doper beats.
All of his music sounds like when they're running.
Yes, exactly. There's just a guy in a sheet, and the sheet is billowing behind him, and they're just their feet are going faster than their bodies are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And by 2022, he is now, I think, completely and totally radicalized. There is no backing off of this. He's on Alex Jones wearing a face mask and praising Hitler. He's wearing White Lives Matter shirts. He gets suspended on Twitter while Elon owns it, I believe, which is pretty impressive. He's having dinner with Trump, and he is effectively being managed by Milo Yiannopoulos and Nicolas Fuentes.
Yeah.
He is now he has connected himself to the main artery of fascism in America. And
also, wait, around this time, is this when the GOP tweets that they are now Kanye West, Donald Trump, and Elon Musk?
Yeah. Which
they should have been comma, Bill Cosby, comma, Weinstein, comma.
Here's a bunch of rapists.
Yeah,
also,
the axis
where
of
all
evil.
of these guys. Yeah, we're the GOP. We're every famous rapist.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong.
Trump 2024. We love famous rapists.
Yeah, and none of you B-list rapists.
Yeah, just the already powerful ones.
Yeah.
So this is also in the Genius doc comes out, which did you see it?
Oh my God.
Did you want?
I've seen it several times. I had an old roommate who would watch The Wolf of Wall Street and turn it off before things started going bad. And that's sort of how I feel about watching Genius, where I'm like, let's just watch episode 1 where it's all ramping up.
That's so funny. I used to have a friend who would sneak away from the bar, and he was doing it for weeks. And finally I was like, yo, where are you going? Because you're leaving for a half hour, and then you come back. And he goes, oh yeah, I go to my apartment and I smoke a bowl and I watch the scene from Wolf of Wall Street where they're dancing on the boat to get psyched up for the rest of the night. And he was doing this without telling anybody for weeks.
I'm telling you, this is in line with the psychosis we're seeing.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree.
They put something in that movie.
The Genius doc, to me, I think it fills in a lot of blanks. And anyone listening to this who wants a deeper dive, obviously, you should watch it. the part when he's in Haiti in the compound wearing the bulletproof vest, that to me was like, oh,
yeah, it's that level.
It's that level. Like, this is not, there's no recovery here.
Yeah.
And Pitchfork had a really good review of the doc. So this starts with Kanye talking, okay? She goes, have you guys ever been like locked up in handcuffs and put into a hospital because your brain was too big for your skull? Kanye asks at one point, rattling the unholy calm of the potential real estate partners in his company who look freshly arrived from human blood transfusions. No? Okay, well, I have. Kanye goes on to tell these men that he took medication so he could turn alien into English, and grows increasingly belligerent and incoherent as the developers behold him with cool, moneyed contempt. Cootie, his friend who produces the documentary, does the only decent thing: he cuts the camera off. And to kind of fit it with your theory that you put forward in the second act, because of technology, Kanye can just never turn the camera off.
Yeah.
He can just turn it back on.
Right. Right. And I mean, something else that I've just been sort of thinking about and mulling, and who knows if this is coherent, so just go with me on the ride, is that when we first started, you know, if we look at the sort of 2009 era, there's maybe 10 people who have 1 million followers on the internet. Like, it's not a big place. And as the internet grows and there are more eyes, people are doing bigger and more insane things to maintain that and to grow that. And I think that, like, it's a weird argument for a smaller internet, but I'm like, I do think the problem is we're all on there. I think that, like, the more eyes staring at somebody, they're just going to perform whatever they think will get them positive, negative, whatever attention. And I think that that's true for the GOP right now. It's why they're, you know, posting out memes of people getting deported in, like, a ChatGPT Studio Ghibli ripoff style. Like, it's not because that's, like, informative or, like, good politics. It's because people are going to see that and react to it, and they're addicted to the reaction. And I think that, like, when you have someone who's already so isolated and unwell, and the only, like, they're closer to the internet than they are to people in their real life, like, what do we expect?
And to go all the way back to sort of the Mark Barthel essay, it's such a tragedy because, like, he is clearly using technology on his early albums to, and he's talked, I mean, he has talked about how Graduation in particular was not a hip hop album. It was a stadium rock album. And he was going to be the first black man in America who could make stadium music. And, like, and he was going to, and he does that with vocoders. He does that with sampling techniques that did not really exist in pop music before. Right. He does that by sampling Daft Punk. He, like, does that by embracing technology to transcend the limitations of his race, of his class. 100%. And it puts him on this path that, like, now we're all kind of part of, where the technology that we believed could help us transcend the bullshit of our daily lives, of our humanity, has made us all insane neo-Nazis.
Yes. And I think it also tracks that, like, that's why millennials are the only ones who are voting more progressive. I think that, like, and part of that is, like, I mean, another sort of aside, but I think that, like, we knew how to use the internet, but also we were there when people were afraid of the consequences of using it incorrectly. Like, there could be this backlash. And I think that boomers were late to that. They just showed up to start fighting. They just came in, like, swinging at whoever about whatever. And then I think young kids just have only been in this era of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think of Gen Z as the lurker generation. They don't actually make a lot of content, but to stare into the void for their entire lives, like,
I mean, I really do think that they're stunted in a way, and to me it's really sad because it does sort of, like, remind you of the promise of the internet, where it's like, I think that there was a time where this was such a uniting force. There was a time when I moved to New York, like, most of the people I knew in New York I knew from the internet. And, like, and it was safe and wonderful, and they were smart and, like, incredible people, and we're still friends. And I'm like, I don't want the kids today to meet each other. They're gonna, like, plan a crime.
Yeah, I mean, there is a story of the promise of technology and the sort of, like, shirking of that promise, and you can see it in everything we've been talking about today. But, you know, what we are talking about has been pretty dark. So I do want to say, you know, I want to give Kanye credit. Yeah. Because in 2023,
I mean, I'm like, yeah, go for it, man. I'm over here.
In 2023. He said that Jonah Hill made him like Jewish people again after he watched 21 Jump Street. So that was in March of 2023. And then in May of 2023, Kanye hired Milo Yiannopoulos to effectively be his assistant. So it didn't really stick. But if we can get him to watch 22 Jump Street, maybe we can fix this whole thing.
I think if someone just took his phone, I mean, he's a cult leader, but I think he should be, there's got to be a cult that just takes him away from all of this, that like reprograms, right?
I mean, this is a conversation that we have circled back to several times on this show over the last couple weeks and months, which is like, how do you de-radicalize? I don't know. Like, do you think there's an off switch for something like this for someone like him?
The problem is the feedback loop. And like, if you're always doing something for the reaction, it's like you have to cut off the reaction. And I still think that that's true for Donald Trump. I think that like all of this is I think this second administration lives for the reaction.
Yes.
I don't think that they even necessarily believe their own bullshit so much as they're like, well, everyone's talking about it. And it's how they get out of issues, right? Like, we have Signalgate, and then suddenly they're like, well, let's just start deporting people to a death camp. And now we're not talking about this huge issue with national security. We're talking about due process. And it's like, right, like if you can control reactions and it is this sort of like, I don't know, I think you have to just get away from them. Like, I think if Republicans didn't have access to the internet anymore, they'd have to go back to being regular people.
Yeah. Social media platforms in the beginning of the 2010s were all saying, like, not only are we going to connect the world, but we can change the nature of reality by doing so. Mm-hmm. And what they either did anticipate and didn't care about, or didn't anticipate, was that there were people powerful enough and unwell enough and isolated and lonely enough to be like, yes, I will do that.
Yeah.
And didn't think like what that would mean. And so, yeah, like the Republican Party right now is using a feedback loop of executive orders and constitutional crimes and all kinds of sort of like bad faith bullshit to distract and, scatter any kind of resistance. And they're not passing laws in the same way that someone like Kanye West is not really making music anymore. Right. Because once you get totally sucked into the feedback loop, the feedback loop becomes the job. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that different from like the fears that like AI content will poison AI.
Yeah.
By like creating like a feedback loop.
Yeah.
And he is effectively like, if you buy into the idea that like he has spent his entire career trying to transcend the limitations of a normal man to be, you know what he said, the greatest living man in music of all time or whatever. You can't transcend your own humanity. Like, it's not possible. Like, technology cannot let you do it. It feels like the signal is just sort of feeding back into itself over and over and over as it corrupts, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's so dark. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Ask me how I'm feeling again. I feel sad.
Yeah.
I feel sad about it.
Pretty sure that means it's a wrap. Where can people follow you online?
You can find me on Blue Sky, Insta, YouTube, and my new show, How Is This Better, from Courier. It's coming out this May, so I'm all over the place.
Panic World is a Garbage Day production. Subscribe to the newsletter at garbageday.email. Panic World is written and produced by Grant Irving. It's hosted by me, Ryan Broderick. Our amazing researcher is Adam Bumas. It's engineered by Rebecca Seidel. Our deranged logo was created by Gabby Cash. Please give us $5 at patreon.com/panicworld. Please give us products to sell by contacting Multitude at multitude.production/ads. For any other way you would like to give us money or work with us or promote us or become financially entangled with us, you can reach out to our fixer, our wonderful bag man, Josh Fjelstad, and you can reach him at panicworldpod@gmail.com. And one piece of advice from me to you: chill out, touch grass while you still can.